What is up, everybody? Spidey here, and as always, I hope you're having a marvelous day. Have I got a treat for you? I've got a friend from all the way from Australia, the Card Museum, George Wilson. He's going to tell us about what he's doing up in, well, depends on where you're at, down in Australia with Marvel cards.
Hello,
Hey, George, how's
everyone.
it going?
Good, good. It's a pleasure to meet you finally. Yeah, really happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk to you and get to know you a bit. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, man. I remember the first time your Instagram really caught my eye, and I used that as our thumbnail because it was with some sealed, pretty important in my opinion, sealed boxes from the 1980s and Marvel cards. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you're doing up in Australia?
Yeah, no problem. So my name is George. I'm the Card Museum on Instagram. I was born in England, 1997. I moved over to Australia when I was about 8 years old. I have always had the kind of collecting bug. I've always been interested in Marvel cards for as long as I can remember, but it wasn't until I moved over to Australia that I really got into it and it became almost an obsession. I
Yeah,
think it was partly due to there was this kind of feeling for me that I felt that when I moved over here, I didn't really want to at first. And
hmm,
collecting for me was almost a way to kind of keep in touch with my roots in England because that was something that I did a lot in the UK. And yeah, I kind of ever since then I've been buying cards, I've been collecting comics. Yeah, I've been in the hobby for a really long time, and it wasn't until I think just before COVID that I came up with this idea to put together this entire set of Marvel movie cards, and I had this idea that I wanted to frame them all up and have these kind of boxes with the DVDs. And my mum, who is an artist and she puts together exhibitions all the time, she helped me kind of form this idea and put it all together. And then I started this massive journey of putting this entire set together of the boxes, and it took about 3 years to do. And yeah,
yeah.
it's been a really long journey, and now things have progressed to a place that I never thought they would.
Are you, is this in a place where we can see it? Are we going to be able to get a visual of it?
Unfortunately not. I tried to get them back here so that I could have them in the background. They were behind me. They were set up in this room, but then I think about a month ago, I moved it all out so that I could put it in a bigger display room. So I'm just in the process of doing all of that. But if you head over to my Instagram, I've got plenty of photos over there, and it's pretty amazing. Funnily enough, I actually was missing one box for about 16 months, and it was there you go. That's it. So yeah, I was missing one box. I was missing the Thor, the second Thor movie, The Dark World. I was missing that box for about 16 months. I couldn't find it anywhere, and I actually reached out to Upper Deck and asked them for some help. And one of the Upper Deck customer service people came back to me and said, the CEO has a box in his personal collection, and we'd love to interview you about it and do an article about it, and we'll send you the box and help
Wow.
you complete this collection.
So why, like, first of all, probably I think it's considered the worst of the cinematic movies in that 10-year run, right? Leading up to Endgame. So why would Dark World be the hardest box for you to find?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the one thing about being here in Australia is it can be quite tough to find these boxes. You don't really have the same opportunities that I imagine you would in America or in England, where you can go to, your local card store. We only have a couple of those, so
Mhm.
it was something that I was literally every day going on eBay and going on every single forum and everything I could find, trying to find these boxes. And I suppose when it came to that box, it might have been a coincidence. It also might have just been that, given that it was known as one of the worst movies of the MCU, it might have just been that not many people collected them and opened them, and they just kind of went off by the wayside.
Mhm. So out of all of these, that one took you the longest to find. So time wise, it sounds like it's the hardest. But what would you say is, if we wanted to buy it today, would be the most difficult sealed box to acquire?
I'd say probably Iron Man, the first one, and weirdly enough, that was one of the first one I was actually able to buy. So the first two movies were done by Rittenhouse before Upper Deck got the license. So Iron Man and Incredible Hulk, which was just a seal. It was basically just a sealed pack. They were probably the two that nowadays would be the toughest and most expensive to get. With the Iron Man, you've got the Robert Downey Jr. on-card autographs that you can pull. So I think that's kind of put the price of that up quite a bit. But yeah, it's been a really long time. And it's funny. For a really long time, I've been wanting to make, this Instagram and kind of show people what I've collected and everything that I've got. But it just took so long to put together, and then getting it in a place where I felt like I was, ready to kind of show the world. And then, I've had opportunities in my work life to start growing a community here in Australia of Marvel cards. And I thought it was the perfect time to kind of show all this off.
Well, talk to us about the community in Australia. What is that like?
Yeah. So I work with Neon Trading Cards, and essentially about a year and a half ago, I got this opportunity that just came across me on Facebook to start working there. And they were hiring. I applied and got the job. And then about 3 months later, I kind of had this idea about, starting this opportunity with Marvel cards where I could open Marvel cards on their channel and we could start breaking Marvel cards for people. And initially it was quite small. It was a few people would come in, and they're mostly breakers for soccer cards and NBA, and they do all sorts now. But at the time, no one was really doing Marvel cards. No one was really breaking them. No one was really talking about them. And yeah, we kind of just decided we might as well try. And it's been amazing. The support we've had very early on, it's just exploded. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of people now joining our lives and watching our breaks and joining in on the Marvel breaks as well. And it's really fun. So I also run a Marvel Cards Australia Facebook group, and we have over 100 members now, and it's only a month and a half or so that we've been running it. And yeah, I think for me, I always thought that there was a really big opportunity to grow a community for Marvel cards here in Australia. I know a lot of people here are really into the Marvel comics, and for me, I think there's a lot of overlap there. So at the moment, we're just trying to, get the word out, and so people know about it and they can join our group and talk everything Marvel cards. And so far, the support's been really good. We have a great community. There's, I went to a show here in Melbourne about a month ago, and I had people that I never thought would be asking about Marvel cards were asking about Marvel cards. And we had loads of people coming up to our stall and, asking what they should buy and where to buy it and things like that. So it's just, it's been a really, really fun experience.
Well, just from my standpoint, as it relates to the Spidey Hits YouTube channel, I've had just an enjoyable interaction with collectors who live in Australia. Just a great group of people. Obviously Ben Brody is one of those people who's an artist who's been working on Marvel trading cards recently and has really integrated himself inside the community. You have many others, and I'm not going to start listing out names because then I'd be upset at the ones I forget. But just a great community that exists in Australia from my standpoint that I've been able to interact with.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, I haven't met a single person in the hobby so far that, I've been disappointed by. I mean, everyone is so passionate and so open and warm. And, it kind of took me a little while to come out of my shell in terms of getting into the community and meeting these people. And I've never felt such a good sense of community like I have with this Marvel card community we've got going. And yeah, it's so amazing to see so many people showing love to Marvel cards. I mean, I've always believed in Marvel cards. I've always had a really big passion for everything Marvel. And it's just, yeah, it's really exciting to see where the future is going to take us with all of this.
Yeah. So, what is your like goal long term for Marvel cards in Australia and your Marvel card museum?
Yeah, so as far as growing the community, I think it's in a really healthy space at the moment where, there's a lot of people here in Australia that I think are slowly kind of realizing how much of a community there already is. And I think there's a lot of people, they have the interest in Marvel, they have the interest in comics, but they just don't really know about how great Marvel cards are. And so, long term, I'd love for everyone in Australia to know about it, and for our community to be really strong, and have a lot of people in it that can be talking about this stuff, and we can just all be enjoying the hobby together. As far as breaking goes, and opening Marvel cards, the sky's the limit. I mean, we have so many exciting things in the works at the moment. We do like 3 or 4 breaks, if not more, a week now. Whereas when we started, we were just breaking maybe a couple of boxes a week, and now we're doing full case breaks, and we've got all these people really loving the content and enjoying taking part in Marvel cards. As far as the card museum goes, it's so new. I mean, it's such a new thing for me. I only just in the last couple of months put all this stuff up online, and the support so far has been amazing. But I think probably long term, yeah, I just want to keep sharing what I've got, and keep looking out for amazing Marvel cards that I can buy and show people. And it's just about sharing that passion. That's what it's about for me.
I love your vision, man, and I think that's in alignment for what collectors in Australia want, and so I see it happening. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I do have to ask you about these 4 boxes here because
Yeah.
this is what was the thumbnail of the video and what really caught my eye. So it it tells me that you have an eye for collectibles. Because you kind of blew past all the new shiny stuff, right? And you put together your master sealed box collection of the MCU movie cards, but also grabbed these. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is actually a really funny story. So this was prior to COVID. I think I just started putting together the movie set, and I kind of started looking. I was really interested in the history of Marvel cards, so I started looking back through the years. I was just going on websites, looking at checklists and what products are out there, and then I remember I think I stumbled across there was a person selling on some marketplace, and I can't remember which one. And he was basically selling for someone that had a flea market stall, and he was listing the products online for him. And so I kind of started talking to this guy because I knew that, he's selling quite a lot of Marvel stuff. And I ended up buying a few of the movie boxes from him. And I kind of got talking to him, and then COVID happened and things exploded, and Marvel cards were suddenly getting a lot of traction. And I
Mhm.
remember the 1990 set. A lot of people were talking about that set, and talking about it because it was what everyone remembered collecting from when they were younger, and it was the first big Marvel card set. And I remember seeing a checklist of 1987, and it just kind of made sense to me. I didn't know at the time about Donruss, the 1966 set. I didn't know about anything
Right.
prior. But it just kind of made sense to me that I've got to try and hunt down these boxes. And then I reached out to all of my contacts, everyone that I'd been in contact with, and this person that was selling all these boxes online for this flea market seller happened to have the first two, which was the 1987, the orange box, and the villain set, which was the green box. He had those
Right.
two, and I was able to make a really good deal with him, and then he came back a month later and had the other two, and it was just a really good opportunity. And I think there's some people that have been a little bit resistant to the idea of, or at least questioning, like, why do you collect sealed stuff, and how do you not just rip into it. And for me, it's always been about the joy it gives me knowing that there could be something amazing in there. And as much as it's an investment, and it is, that's, you know, definitely an aspect of it. It's the box art, it's the, you know, the artwork, the time it's taken to put together, everyone that's worked on it to make it the product that it is. And in a way, for me, it feels almost blasphemous ripping that open. It's like, you know, keeping it like it is and sealed. And it kind of gives me that feeling of opportunity. And that's kind of what gives me a lot of joy in the hobby.
I love that. And you need to be careful coming on this channel, because just about anything that gets close to this channel gets ripped open. So just know that. I love it. I think you should never open them personally. The green box, the Colossal Conflicts Series 2 was one of the first 3 or 4 boxes I opened on the AT channel. Kind of had the same thought that you did, kind of beeline right past 90, and was like, I'd rather open up these right now. I never got a chance to open up the first one, the D7 orange box there. I really do want to. I really would love to set up some packs if anybody has any loose packs, just to have that on, you know, on YouTube for people to be able to experience. These boxes are not cheap. I think I paid $350 for my Colossal Conflicts box when I bought it back then. I think it's north of that now. But if you can get that orange box, I think under $2,000 is probably would be the lowest price I've seen. I've seen them higher than that. I've seen it 3,000 and up. But incredible that you've held on to them and you haven't sold them, even though the prices have likely skyrocketed north of what you paid for them, and kept that preservation. And you know, it suits your name, the Card Museum.
Yeah, I saw that video. It was the only example of this set that I could find online, and I wanted to see it opened. I wanted to see what cards you could pull, and that was the only video I could find online. It just goes to show how rare they are. And I was able to actually get a bunch of loose packs of 1987 and the orange one, and I opened a bunch of those, and I have a full set graded as well, which I actually have right next to me. That's one thing I do have next to me. But yeah, that was something that, again, was a massive journey of grading and putting the set together. And you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I've always, since I was a kid, been a sealed collector. I've always kept things sealed. It's always been in my DNA to do that. I'm not entirely sure what the psychology is behind it, but it's always what's given me joy. And yeah, I think money, the money side of it just has never really bothered me. Whatever it costs to put together a set is what it costs at the time. And if it goes up in the future, that's great. And, you know, that obviously makes me feel good, but none of this stuff is something that I would probably ever sell. It's just kind of, you know, museums don't sell things. So that's kind of where my logic is.
I love that. Man, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
So the .card.museum on Instagram, and you can also find me on Marvel Cards Australia Facebook group. We are an amazing community, growing really fast, and I also break over at Neon Trading Cards, and we're breaking Marvel cards every single night of the week at the moment. And yeah, the community is really, really great.
Well, George, if y'all let, I'm not, you know, in Australia, but if you'll let me in the group, I'd love to be there and interact with everyone. Like I said, just an amazing group of collectors down in Australia. I'll link your website. I've already got the blog from Upper Deck in the description, but I'll link that in your Instagram as well for people to be able to locate you. And man, I really appreciate you coming on and showing your collection and telling us about what's going on in Australia and your card museum.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Spidey. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure talking to you and getting to know you. And yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, don't be a stranger. Come back around.
I won't. I'm happy to come on anytime.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you want to see more Marvel card content, hit that subscribe button, because that's all we do here. But as always, I hope you have a marvelous day.